The Deputy Secretary of Defense is a Wall Street billionaire who is reshaping the Pentagon to act more like a private equity firm. And that is causing some concern.
Steve Feinberg is the co-founder of Cerberus Capital Management, a private equity firm he founded in 1992. Cerberus Capital Management has $70 billion of assets under management. Feinberg became the Deputy Secretary of Defense in March of last year. He's worth more than $4 billion and came into Trump's good graces by donating more than $2 million to Trump-affiliated groups, and he is one of the richest people in Trump's administration.
In Feinberg's new role, he is remodeling parts of the Defense Department in Cerberus's image.
He brought in 4 other Cerberus executives into defense, and they are taking very big steps to change how the department does business.
Contractors are willing to change with us, will prosper and grow. Those who don't and resist it will be gone.
Cerberus's portfolio has included businesses in healthcare, grocery stores, and real estate.
At the same time, Cerberus Capital Management has vast holdings in the national security space, including defense contractors.
That portfolio includes companies already operating in the areas the Defense Department considers strategically important. One such company is Subcom.
Subcom lays subsea fiber optic cables, and it has a relationship with the Department of Defense to do that work. Earlier this year, Cerberus restructured their investment in Subcom at a 6-fold increase in its valuation, now at $2.3 billion, significantly higher than the $350 million or so that they bought it for in 2018.
Another company is Orion Development.
It was basically unheard of before Feinberg took office, but it is now working with the Department of Defense and major US telecoms and tech companies, including NVIDIA, to build what is essentially going to become a 6G wireless network, and that technology could be worth billions of dollars.
The perch from which Feinberg is driving this change is the Office of Strategic Capital, a relatively new division created during the Biden administration.
The idea behind the office was that the US needed to do a better job of aligning private capital and public national security goals if it was going to be successful on the world stage. Since Trump came into office, he's massively expanded that budget.
But it's not just the size of the budget. The key difference is that instead of the traditional role of customer, the Defense Department is now more regularly acting as an investor.
So Feinberg's team now has essentially $200 billion to lend. They are taking the historic step of taking equity stakes in private businesses. And his team is relying on a much more informal form of deal making, where they're relying on their personal networks and people they trust to find and source deals.
This strategy isn't without merit. The Department of Defense is notoriously bureaucratic.
Nobody would accuse the Pentagon historically of being very efficient. It has failed every audit it has ever gone under, which means it can't keep track of every dollar it spends. This amount of deal-making expertise in the department is new. If you talk to people within the department, they will tell you it is actually sorely needed.
However, expert dealmakers may sound great on paper, but it's the proximity of Cerberus's interests to Pentagon decision-making that deepens the potential conflict of interest.
$200 billion is a lot of money, and currently the team at OSC is comparatively very small. And the questions that a lot of the people I spoke to have raised is why so many of them are so close to Cerberus, and whether or not they're thinking about return on investment in the right way. They need to be thinking about national security for the US. When Steve Feinberg entered office, he divested his stakes in Cerberus to trusts for the benefit of his adult children. That meets the letter of the law, but it doesn't really prevent him from knowing what Cerberus holdings are or what their interests are. People who know Steve Feinberg say he's not doing this for personal profit. They say that he is a patriot who is doing this out of a sense of duty. But his role in the Department of Defense presents unique potential conflicts of interest and a dilemma that the public and taxpayers have never been presented with before.